The storm rolled over the small suburban street like a warning, dark clouds pressing low as if the sky itself felt the weight of what was about to happen. Inside a dimly lit house at the corner, 36-year-old Ethan Miles sat on the living room carpet with scattered crayons, trying to help his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, finish a school project. He was exhausted in a way that went beyond the body 14-hour shifts at the auto shop, overdue bills, and the responsibility of raising a child alone had become a heavy, constant companion. Yet, when Lily smiled, it was enough to make him feel like he could carry the whole world. He didn't know that destiny was minutes away from knocking on his door, literally bringing with it a revelation that would shake every certainty he had. Asterisk, if you're watching this and you believe in kindness, second chances, and emotional stories that truly matter, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Stories. Your support means everything. Asterisk, the knock came sharply, echoing through the quiet house. It wasn't the friendly tap of a neighbor or the impatient pounding of a delivery driver. It was hesitant, almost frightened. Ethan froze for a second, exchanging a confused look with his daughter. When he opened the door, the last person he ever expected to see was standing there, drenched from the rain and trembling, his former classmate and childhood friend, Mara Dawson. She looked older, worn, and fragile, as though life had been mercilessly scraping pieces off of her for years. Her eyes, puffy and swollen, glistened with unshed tears that clung to her lashes. Without a word, she collapsed against the doorframe, one hand pressed to her chest as if she was holding herself together. Asterisk, Ethan had not seen Mara in nearly a decade. She had been the girl everyone whispered about, the one whose life spiraled after high school into a blur of toxic relationships, bad decisions, and constant disappearances. Their paths had drifted apart so completely that he sometimes wondered if the Mara he once knew even existed anymore. But seeing her now broken, shivering, scared brought back a flood of memories he wasn't prepared for. He ushered her inside quickly, grabbing a towel while Lily watched curiously from the hallway. Asterisk, as Mara sat on the couch, hands shaking uncontrollably, Ethan could feel the tension coiling in the air. When she finally lifted her face, streaked with rain and tears, she whispered words that made his entire world tilt. She told him she had come because he was the only person she trusted, the only person who had ever been kind to her, the only safe place she had left. Asterisk. Her voice cracked as she explained that she had walked away from an abusive relationship just hours earlier. She had no money, no home, and no family willing to take her in. For months, she had endured manipulation, fear, and cruelty, believing she had no escape. But tonight, something inside her finally broke. She had run out of the house in the middle of the storm, barefoot, bruised, terrified. And every instinct had led her here to him. Asterisk, hearing her, Ethan felt an ache deep in his chest. He wanted to be angry at whoever had hurt her. He wanted to demand names, ask where she had been all these years, and question why she had disappeared without a trace. But seeing her trembling, wounded, and ashamed made him push those thoughts aside. He could not ignore the desperation in her eyes. He could not turn away from someone who needed safety as deeply as she needed air. Asterisk, he made her tea, wrapped a blanket around her shoulders, and sat quietly nearby while she tried to steady her breath. Lily, in her innocent gentleness, brought Mara her favorite stuffed bunny to comfort her. That small gesture made something inside Mara break open, and she wept harder, burying her face in her hands. It had been years since anyone, especially a child, offered her kindness without conditions, over the next hour. The storm outside intensified, but inside Ethan's home, something subtle shifted: trust, warmth, and a fragile sense of hope began to form. Mara opened up about the years she had spent hiding her pain, pretending she had everything under control while silently drowning. Every word was like peeling back layers of grief she had carried alone for far too long. Ethan listened intently, not interrupting, not judging, just being present. And for Mara, that was more healing than anything she had felt in years. The night stretched on, and as exhaustion overtook her, Ethan prepared a small bed for her in the guest room. Before she slept, she whispered something unexpected, something that caught him off guard. She told him he had saved her without even knowing it. She said she had been watching his life from afar on social media over the years, the way he raised his daughter with tenderness, the sacrifices he made, the strength he showed even when life knocked him down. She said, seeing him be the father she never had reminded her that good men still existed, and that she didn't have to stay trapped in hell forever. She admitted that coming to him tonight wasn't random. It was hope, reaching for the only light she remembered. For Ethan, her words hit hard. He had no idea that simply trying to survive and be a good dad had impacted someone else's life so deeply. For the first time in a long time, he felt seen not as a struggling single father or an exhausted mechanic, but as someone who mattered. Over the next few days. As the storm passed, the fragile pieces of Mara's life began slowly aligning. Ethan helped her contact a women's support center, where she could receive legal guidance, emotional therapy, and temporary protection. He drove her to appointments, helped her fill out paperwork, and reassured her when fear made her hesitate. Lily adored her, often sitting beside Mara during breakfast, chatting about school, drawings, and dreams. That innocent companionship helped Mara heal in ways no therapy could. But healing isn't a straight line. One evening, Ethan found Mara sitting on the porch, staring blankly at the sky. She confessed she felt like a burden. She said she didn't deserve kindness after all the mistakes she had made in life. Ethan sat beside her, letting the silence settle before he spoke. He told her that everyone stumbles, everyone falls, but what mattered was the courage to stand again. He reminded her that asking for help was not weakness, it was strength. His words were simple, but for Mara, they planted seeds of self-worth she had long forgotten she possessed. Days turned into weeks. Mara found a part-time job at a local bakery and started rebuilding her life piece by fragile piece. She moved into a small shared apartment arranged through the support center, but she visited Ethan and Lily often. Their home had become her anchor, a reminder that light still existed in the world. As Christmas approached, the town lit up with warmth and festivities. One evening, during a community event at the town square, Mara stood under the glow of the string lights, watching Ethan help Lily hang an ornament on the huge tree. She felt a lump rise in her throat. She had walked into his home, a broken woman with nothing, and somehow found not just safety, but purpose, family, and a chance at life again. The moment she realized these emotions terrified her. She wasn't ready to love again. She wasn't sure she even deserved to. But Ethan never pressured her. He simply supported her, encouraged her, and let her heal at her own pace. His quiet patience told her more about love than any romance ever had. Near the end of winter, Mara brought Ethan a letter. She had been offered a full-time job with better pay and housing support in another town, a huge opportunity. She wanted to take it. She needed to prove she could build her life on her own. But she was terrified he would think she was abandoning them. When she handed him the letter, her hands trembled and tears filled her eyes. She thanked him for saving her life, for giving her a safe place to breathe, for believing in her when she didn't believe in herself. She told him she would never forget what he had done. Ethan felt a heavy ache, but he told her the truth. He wanted her to be happy, to grow, to succeed even, if that meant she had to go. He told her he was proud of her, and when she cried in relief, he hugged her, knowing it might be the last time. Months passed. They stayed in touch, calling often, sharing updates about life. Mara thrived in her new town. She became stronger, more confident, and finally learned to love herself again. But every time she spoke to Ethan, there was a warmth in her voice, a longing neither dared to name. One spring morning, Ethan opened his door to find a figure standing in the sunlight. It was Mara, but this time she wasn't trembling, broken, or afraid. She was smiling, steady, hopeful. She told him she was moving back, not because she needed saving, but because she wanted to build a future, a real one, and she hoped he and Lily would be part of it. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Your support keeps these stories alive. Before the ending. Tell us in the comments, what part of the story moved you the most? And as the sunlight warmed their faces, Ethan realized something beautiful. Sometimes the people who show up at your door in tears aren't bringing chaos. They're bringing the beginning of something extraordinary. And that was the day he welcomed not just a friend back into his life, but hope, love, and a second chance he never expected.